Hey guys, Sam here from Chalice and Chains. This video is not safe for work and not intended for younger audiences or those that are squeamish about foul language. I will warn you right now, this is a bit of a rant video, so if that's not your thing, I would turn it off at this point. The video is going to be titled, "Encounter Balance is Bullshit." I think that I saw today in one of the online, gaming forums that, somebody was talking about how their party went up against a beholder and 4 out of, I think 6 maybe, died. And they were a mixed level party. And of course, in one of the comments, somebody was like, oh, well, that encounter wasn't balanced and there shouldn't have been a 5th level, character going up against this thing. Da-da-da-da-da, right? And to me, this is one of my major issues with Dungeons and Dragons. Not the way the system is designed, but the expectation that I think a lot of players have around the system and what types of encounters are they expect, right? So I'll admit, I run games a lot more than I play them. And to me, sorry, but I'm not fucking creating encounters that are balanced just so that you can feel like, oh, yay, I accomplished something and it wasn't too deadly. That's boring. That's boring. Seriously, it's boring. Now, some people would argue, well, running away is boring too. Well, yeah, maybe it is, except that if you do it right and it's cinematic, that can be exciting as hell because you're getting chased, by this thing. And, any GM worth their salt is going to put stuff in there to make it exciting. So for example, if you're playing D&D, and you're running away from this, big boss monster, put, and especially if you're higher level characters, excuse me, 10th level. I mean, some of the, I guess that was the example. There were some 8 10th level characters in this party. Also have kobolds or goblins or, some really super easy creatures in the way and just, let the players narrate instead of rolling dice, just narrate how they, cut through these guys or whatever. Give them fun and exciting encounters to do while they're running away, while they're being chased by this, great boss monster, right? There should not be an expectation of balanced encounters. And I want people to know that right now. If you ever want to play in one of my games, do not expect a balanced encounter. So, for example, this weekend, I ran a game of Star Wars Edge of the Empire. And my group is currently, we're on a mini campaign. And they were on a space station. And basically there was both stormtroopers and bounty hunters and the whole station basically after these guys. And basically the entire session was them trying to run to the docking bay where they could steal a ship, because previously they had basically sold their ship with no expectation of getting another one. And they had to contend with squads of stormtroopers and thugs and bounty hunters and all of this. And, they basically had to run and fight the entire time. And it was fun. It was a great encounter. And it was not balanced. I mean, a couple of them definitely got taken down. And, they had stim packs and they had ways of kind of mitigating that. But, they were in encounters that were way over their head, right? And I'm not suggesting that you do this every single time, right? But I mean, it's okay to give players super easy encounters or super hard encounters frequently. But I hate it when I see players complain about, oh, that wasn't a balanced encounter. Fuck you. No, there is no expectation of a balanced encounter, right? You are here to play a game. right? Now, if it's a game like Dungeons and Dragons, this is not a storytelling game. This is a story game. So the players have a little bit less influence on the narrative, right? So in that case, you're there to experience the world that the GM is putting out before you, the DM is putting out before you, right? But you have free will over your character. You do not have to, if you're a level 2, fighter or whatever, and the GM presents a dragon, don't fight it. Like, if the GM is forcing you to fight it, that's a problem, right? But that's not a problem of encounter balance. That's a problem of a bad GM. And you can call them on that. But remember that not everything has to be perfectly designed so that the players can overcome it with a, moderate use of or expenditure of hit points, loot, whatever, to overcome it, but still know that they're going to overcome it. Because that's boring. If you go into every situation knowing that, yeah, I'm going to be fine because the GM wouldn't put me into a situation where I can't handle it. Really? I mean, like, you guys must have played in games like that or campaigns where you just knew, I'm not going to die. Like, I'm going to be fine. He's going to want, he wants the campaign to go on for a year. We're going to be fine. Right? That's all right. But after 4, 5, 6 sessions of that, unless there's some other really compelling stuff going on, I'm out, like, I'm bored. I don't want that, If my character is getting into a combat situation, I want there to be the expectation that I could die and that I have to be clever and lucky and careful if I want to get out of there alive, right? I don't want balanced encounters because they're boring. And you guys all know it. So here's my suggestion for GMs out there. Take the idea of a balanced encounter out of your head, throw it away, and design encounters based on what the fiction demands, right? Based on what the game is telling you makes sense, not on what some encounter table or XP chart tells you to do, or what you're worried, some whiny player is going to complain about, okay? No, it's based on the story. Set up an encounter based on the fiction. And don't worry if it's too easy or too hard. If it's too hard, the players can figure it out. If it's too easy and you feel like it's going to be boring, throw in reinforcements, okay? It's simple. Set them up in a chase scene, randomly inject some big nasty in there and make them, force them in a sense to run away, because then you have a chase scene and that's exciting. But just don't worry about encounter balance. And as a player, don't go into a game expecting that, okay? Seriously. I mean, especially, I know D&D, there is a bit of that expectation, but take that out of your head right now. You're going to have a lot more fun in your games if you are put into situations where there's a very real chance that you could die or you could fail, and bad consequences will come from that. If you overcome them, they're a lot more fun. And if you don't, but you still have to figure out a way, that's fun too, because then you have to strategize and you have to, kind of work together to figure out another solution, right? I mean, charging down, a monster or a foe or whatever head on is fun, but it's not always the smartest thing to do, right? So you need to be thinking about these things as a player. And so this is the bigger point, right? The overall level of success and character death is not on the GM, it's on the player. Okay? You as a player have the responsibility to direct your character in the world that the GM has laid out to you in whatever way you see fit. It is not the responsibility of the GM to make sure that anything that you're facing is balanced so that you can have a reasonable chance of overcoming it. So that's my piece. I cursed a lot less than I thought I would, so that's good. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you're full believer in encounter balance and why it's important. Let me know. But yeah, that's my piece. I don't think encounter balance should even be a word listed in any RPG book ever.